Leah Gunn Barrett, Executive Director of New Yorkers Against Gun Violence. Hi, I'm Jan Morgan. You know, the woman you were supposed to debate today, only the debate never occurred on Fox News Business Channel because you were so terrified of facing me and actually giving me a chance to speak that you got this terrible case of diarrhea of the mouth. How embarrassing for you. How transparent. You might have thought that it made you look good, but it really made you look one of two ways. Either that you didn't have proper upbringing, as we would say in the South, and you didn't understand simple etiquette of your turn to speak and then my turn to speak and actually listen and engage on the issues. It was either that or you knew that the facts are on my side and you know that I'm on solid ground on Second Amendment issues. And if you allowed me to speak, well, that would make you look bad too. So I guess you just decided to look bad on your own with the diarrhea of the mouth thing. Anyway, guess what? I'm going to address the issues anyway since I didn't get a chance to today. First of all, let's talk about this little phrase that you and other anti-gun people use. You call it common sense gun rights legislation. I would like for you to define common sense gun rights legislation because, see, I know what you mean by it, but I want the American people to hear it straight from you. Well, you sort of let them know today right off the bat when Trish, the anchor, said, well, you can't do the same gun control ban that they have in Australia because that's unconstitutional. And the first thing out of your mouth was, well, this has nothing to do with the Constitution. Guess what, Leah? This is not Australia. In the United States of America, we live by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We live under constitutional law. If you don't like that, I suggest you pack your bags and carry your ass to another country where they don't have freedom. But as for me and the rest of America, we're going to continue to live by the Constitution and Bill of Rights. That pesky little Second Amendment, it's here to stay. Nothing you do or say is going to change that. Let's go ahead and talk a little more about this common sense gun legislation you mentioned and you're so proud to throw out there. Right there in your own state of New York, John Stossel, a very reputable, well-known anchor at Fox News, he applied for a gun permit because he had had repeated threats made against his life. He had documented paperwork to support that. He did all of the things he's supposed to do legally. He went through the background checks. He got training that he needed. Everything was in line to legally obtain the right to own a gun. And guess what? Guess what? He was denied in the city of New York because they said, in spite of the fact that he produced documented proof of threats against his life, that he didn't have a justifiable need for a gun. Is that what you mean, Leah, by common sense gun legislation? Right there in New York, where you live, where you're fighting, where you've stripped the citizens of their rights, their gun rights? Let's discuss something that you said recently about women and guns. Boy, did you really step off into it with this one. You made the statement that women are too weak, that they're not strong enough to carry guns for self-defense. Wow. That is about the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You see, Leah, I am a state police certified firearms instructor, a state police certified concealed handgun instructor. I'm an NRA certified pistol instructor and an NRA certified range safety officer. I have trained women with firearms. Over 4,000 women across the United States over the past 3.5 years. And I can tell you that every single one of those women would beg to differ with your assessment. They will tell you in a heartbeat that they are trained, that they're tactically confident, and that they are prepared to use that gun that they're carrying to save lives. In fact, Leah, 2.5 million times last year, law-abiding citizens pulled guns in self-defense and saved lives. 2.5 million times. Many of those people were women who pulled a gun to save their own lives, to stop a rapist, to stop a murderer, to defend their children. Since we're talking about families, let's discuss your daughter. Since you brought up your daughter on the national stage after the Oregon shooting at the college campus, you said your daughter is a sophomore in college and that you would never allow your daughter to go to college, to attend a college where law-abiding adults students on campus who had passed FBI background checks, who had taken concealed handgun classes, and were legally allowed to carry a gun, that you would never let your daughter attend a college where students, adults, were allowed to carry guns. I think it's really sad that you don't feel your daughter's life is worth defending. And yes, that's exactly what your statement. That is the statement you're making to your daughter. Well, guess what, Leah? I have a college-age daughter too, exactly the same age as yours. And let's just look at a little scenario here. Your daughter is in a college where guns are not allowed. Your daughter is sitting in a classroom trying to learn and get her college education, and some deranged gunman walks in the room with a gun and he's about to mow down everybody in there. He might take his time, killing them one at a time, like the gunman did in Oregon. Your daughter is going to stand there, a defenseless victim waiting to happen, entirely her life in the hands of a deranged killer. Now, let's take the same scenario at my daughter's college, where my daughter is legally carrying a gun. She is well armed, well trained, and certainly prepared to defend her life with the gun that she carries. The gunman walks in her classroom. My daughter will be able to take him out. She will not only save her life, but the lives of other innocent people in that classroom. So, if you want your daughter to feel that her life is not worth defending, to believe that carrying a little can of pepper spray or a couple of tongs or prongs on the end of a taser is going to save her life, then that's fine. That's between you and your daughter. But when you start trying to change the laws so that I and my daughter can't defend our own lives, and you want to tell other women around this country that they're too weak to carry a gun for self-defense, then it becomes my business, and it becomes the business of other liberty-loving Americans who understand what the Second Amendment is all about and who do feel that their lives are worth defending. Finally, let's talk about Australia, because this whole conversation, this whole debate was supposed to be centered around Australia gun control legislation. You made the statement that you're perfectly willing to allow that kind of gun control in America. You like the Australian method. Why don't you get real, Leah? Why don't you tell the people what you really want? What you really want is to totally annihilate guns in this country. You want to make them extinct. You likened guns. You mentioned the word cockroaches. You mentioned that guns were like cockroaches, and that when there's a cockroach infestation, it doesn't do any good just to eliminate them in New York, where you live. You want all the states around you to eliminate them as well, because just like cockroaches, they'll still come creeping in. Okay, Leah, if that's the way you want to view it, if you want to look at guns and view them as cockroaches, then let me just make this perfectly clear to you. Yes, we have a hell of an infestation in this country of guns. And 90 million gun owners with over 300 million guns like it that way. 90 million gun owners with over 300 million guns intend to keep it that way. The bottom line to that debate is, we have guns. You don't want us to have them. We're not going to let you take them. Your move. And I tell you what, even though I don't really owe you this, when you finally grow a set of brass ovaries and you think you're tough enough to actually face me on television in a civilized debate format where I get the chance to actually speak too, and you can get rid of your diarrhea of the mouth situation, then let's try this again. I'm more than happy to take you on.